guys, our group will present on the supply chain management and managing suppliers. Have you ever wondered where your clothes come from? And where your iPhone and its component come from? And your jeans and its zipper, where is it made from? So I'm sure it comes from far away and various places, and it is all due to the efficient supply chain. So what is supply chain? It is a flow of information, materials, and funds between the different stages of creating and selling the products to the end users. So supply chain management defined as the management of the flow of goods and services, and it includes all the processes that transform the raw materials into the final products. So the effective supply chain management leads to the performance improvement for the organization as well as their suppliers and customers. The growing of usage of e-commerce has a major impact in the designing of the business processes and accounting systems. So what is e-commerce? E-commerce is the conduct of business transactions via the internet. So it often involves the selling and buying of goods and services through the internet. So there are 4 types of e-commerce used to create the electronic connection between the supplier and customers who are part of an organization in the supply chain. So firstly is B2B e-commerce. It is a short for business to business e-commerce. So it is defined as sales of goods and services via the online channel. B2B companies offer the products that the other businesses need in order to operate and grow. So for example, like Alibaba, as we all know, Alibaba is the world's largest retailer, and it also implements the B2B e-commerce. So it also provides the products to the other businesses who need it. So the second one is electronic data interchange, where it is a concept of businesses that communicate the information on electronic base instead of communicate the information traditionally. So for example, like purchase orders and invoices. Another example is a computer that link between the wholesaler and its retailer customers may allow the wholesaler to analyze their daily sales activities and to determine when the customers require additional inventory. So from using this, it makes things easier as the customer will receive their products as soon as possible without incurring additional costly activities upon raising and processing the purchase orders. So the third one is B2C, where it is a short for business to customers, which refers to the online of sales of a product and services from a business directly to the end users. So this is the one that we are most familiar with, and I'm sure everyone has plenty of experience in using the B2C e-commerce. So examples of B2C e-commerce like Shopee and Lazada. So the last one is enterprise resource planning, where it is a consolidated process of gathering and organizing business data through an integrated software suite. So ERP software contains applications which automated business functions like production, sales quoting, accounting, and more. So ERP assists organizations to achieve efficient supply chain management.
Thank you, Umaira, for the explanation. Now, my name is Nasoha Binti Jamri, and I will be explaining on reasons of managing supplier and relationship with suppliers. The first reasons of managing supplier is to increase visibility and minimize supplier risk. Supplier risk can never be completely mitigated. The first step that an organization can take to help mitigate supplier risk and minimize losses is by managing the supplier. Managing supplier is by having a systematic system of qualifying suppliers and increasing the visibility into their supply base. This allows organizations to easily detect any potential risk and monitor the compliance of their suppliers. The second reason of managing supplier is to ensure accurate supply data. Supplier data is constantly changing, and having stale supplier information can potentially cause delays and add additional risk. Organizations can ensure that they have consistent and standardized supplier profile data that is accurate and up to date, and can organize their suppliers into categories. By having a system to manage suppliers, organizations automatically alerted when a qualification is about to expire or when new information about their supplier becomes available that may potentially impact their qualifications, and ensuring that they can take necessary steps in the future. And the third reason is to have strengthened supplier relationship. Good and reliable suppliers are hard to come by, and when an organization has several suppliers that they partner with, it's difficult to have the same high-level relationship with each one. By implementing a supplier management solutions, organizations can ensure their procurement processes are running more smoothly and can break down communications barriers, improve supplier collaboration, which in return can increase supplier loyalty. And the last one is quickly onboard suppliers. The time and resources needed to onboard a new supplier can be time-consuming and can decrease the productivity of your team. Having a managing supplier system will provide with all the tools they need to manage and maintain their supplier information, such as addresses, contacts, payments, information, as well as business classification for compliance and reporting. Improving relationships with supplier can help minimize supplier and inventory-related costs, which is particularly relevant if the strategic focus of the firm is cost leadership. Manufacturers' product quality may also be enhanced and production lead time improved, which is consistent with a product differentiation strategy. Many companies direct considerable effort into developing and strengthening supplier relationships. For example, Ford and Toyota have worked together at developing such relationship, and in some cases, they have created strategic alliances with key suppliers. Strategic alliances are formalized cooperative arrangements between two or more parties involving the sharing resources and activities to enhance the strategy of all participants. This includes undertaking joint product development, outsourcing information technology, or distribution services. Alliance to introduce quality manufacturing practices in suppliers and joint construction projects.
Thank you, Nasoha. My name is Ezzatie Binti Murad, and I will explain about the selecting suppliers. Most organizations do not select different suppliers each time they wish to purchase goods and services. Rather, many organizations enter into formal contracts or informally agree to transact with the same supplier for a certain length of time. Long-term contracts also allow buying organizations the opportunity to assess the ongoing performance of the supplier, which help them decide whether or not they will continue to transact with the supplier at the end of a contract. There are many criteria that may be used by organizations in selecting their suppliers. They include price, quality, delivery, supplier performance history, capacity, communication system, and geographical location. Selecting the best supplier is a vital part of managing a business and achieving a business objective, and the analysis of cost information can enhance the quality of such decisions. However, many systems provide only limited information to help managers select suppliers or to analyze and manage ongoing costs of suppliers. Next, analyze supplier costs. Many businesses recognize that the cost of dealing with suppliers include not only the purchase price of the materials, but also a range of costs that are triggered by the purchase activity or by the supplier. These supply costs, known as the total cost of ownership, are the costs associated with dealing with a particular supplier. They include the following. Number 1, cost of purchasing. These include the cost of the materials, cost of ordering inventory, delivery, receiving, and inspection. Next, cost of holding inventory. These are carrying costs include storage, insurance, obsolescence, and opportunity costs associated with holding inventory. Third, cost of poor quality. These include the cost of rework, scrap, returning defective materials to suppliers, and downtime costs by using low-quality material. And the last one, cost of delivery failure. These are the costs triggered by late delivery by a supplier and include expending costs, additional labor costs to receive late or early deliveries, downtime due to late deliveries, and lost contribution margin from lost sales due to failed deliveries.
Hi, my name is Afiqah. Now I want to share with you guys the calculating the total cost of ownership. It's applying activity-based costing to products, where activity can be analyzed as a hierarchy of unit batch, product, and facility levels. A hierarchical structure can also be used, and this will lead to more accurate allocation of costs to suppliers. So now, there are three levels of supplier activities and costs that are incurred by an organization. First is unit level activities. It occurs when they are due to problems related to quality or late delivery of material by the supplier. This activity can lead to internal failure costs and external failure costs. Second is order level activities. It triggered at each time of order is placed with a particular supplier. These activities are those involved in ordering materials from supplier, receiving and inspecting an order, and invoicing a supplier for the order. The third is the supplier level activities. It incurred over the course of supplier contract. These activities include undertaking the quality audit to evaluate the supplier, the employment of purchasing manager to manage the relationship with the supplier, and the research and development activities that relate with supplier. Next, the evaluating supplier performance. The analysis of supplier costs can form the basis for evaluating supplier's performance. For example, one technique that can be used to compare the performance of range of supplier, which is to calculate the SPI, Supplier Performance Index. It is a ratio of total supplier cost to the total purchase price. How do we calculate the SPI? The SPI can be calculated by dividing the total supplier activity cost with the total purchase price. However, the organizations may evaluate suppliers' performance using a variety of criteria, including the ability to supply at the contracted purchase price, material quality, supplier delivery performance, and quality of relationship between employees, unions, and management. As part of establishing long-term contract with suppliers, specific performance measures and targets for these criteria are often developed. The example of suppliers' performance measure criteria are delivery. It sees the percentage of order delivery on time. Quality. It measures at the percentage of orders rejected. Cost. It sees the success at meeting the cost down targets. For organizational change, it sees the implementation of team structures. And lastly, for the relationship, it sees the supplier's satisfaction surveys.
Next, let's see what are the benefits we can gain from managing supplier. So first, we will be able to manage a growing supplier base effectively. So entering into a supply chain industry, it will cause an increase in supplier base of an organization which arise from many kinds of factors. So it will be difficult to handle or manage a big number of suppliers if we don't manage them well. So it is important to have a well-structured supplier management process so we can manage supplier with ease. Second, we will be able to achieve cost savings and quality control. If we have strong supplier management, we are able to identify cost savings opportunities and improve the quality of the supplier's output. Next, we are able to track compliance with relevant parameters. It means that by using the system, a company can track if the suppliers comply with the set requirements and identify the scope of improvement in order to derive maximum value. Next, we also can evaluate suppliers' performance. A well-structured supplier management will give an in-depth insight of the supplier's performance as well as the value created by the supplier. Last but not least, we can leverage the supplier relationship management. Building a relationship with suppliers gives benefits to our company in the future. So in the supply chain, where we collaborate and work with the suppliers, in deciding how to achieve relevant requirements help us building a long-lasting and trust-based relation with the suppliers, And from this relation, the suppliers become more understanding with the business needs and consider the strategies to achieve the organizational objective. However, despite all of the benefits, managing suppliers have its limitation as well. So firstly is mismanaged implementation, where implementation of supply chain management costs a lot of money, time and human resources. So lack of strategy implementation will waste a lot of labor, service redundancy and missed deadlines. Second is inadequate training. Integrating a new system into a working supply chain is complex and often requires restructuring and team member training. So this process must include detailed planning, clear and meaningful communication, or else it will cause a costly mistakes and excessive employee turnover. Last but not least, high risk in supply chain. Supply chain is considered as high risk as there are pressures like international complexity, environmental changes, economic pressures, and trade disputes. So if the supply chain is not being managed well, so the organization will fail to eliminate the risks and solve the issues. In conclusion, a supply chain is composed of all the companies involved in the design, production, and delivery of a product to the market, while supply chain management is the coordination of production, inventory, location, and transportation among the participants in a supply chain to achieve the best mix of responsiveness and efficiency for the market being served. So the goal of supply chain management is to increase sales of goods and services to the final end-use customers while at the same time reducing both inventory and operating expenses. So to succeed in the competitive markets that make up today's economy, the companies must learn to align their supply chains with the demands of the markets they serve. So supply chain performance is now a distinct competitive advantage for companies who excel in this. So that's all from us. Thank you.